You know what I was doing? I jotted this down last night because I was straightening up the office. And there's nothing ever on TV anymore. It wasn't time for real time. Bill Maher's back, so at least we got that going for us. But it wasn't time. It wasn't the time for that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pop in one of my state-of-the-art DVDs, a little clean in the office music. And you know what I put in? I put in one of my 12-volume set of Burt Sugarman's Midnight Special performances. This was a TV offer that Stacy got for me about 7 or 8 years ago, I guess it was. Have you seen these?
I have seen some of them. I don't have the whole set. I wish I did. Do you prefer the Midnight Special over Rock Concert?
Well, now it depends. See, it's never just that easy, Brian, to just answer a question like that, because Don Kirshner's Rock Concert was exceptional for its time. And of course, for the younger folks, before MTV, you never got to see what the artists playing your favorite music looked like, because they were, especially if it was the young rock groups weren't sometimes welcomed on mainstream television back in those days. You got to go to the Ed Sullivan Show. He was before his time. He was actually before and after his time.
And the world was better for it. There are so many ugly people that make great music that would never get a chance today.
Well, but you wanted to see what they looked like, right? You know, so you got to see either Don Kirshner's Rock Concert, which was that, but they were both, no, they were, Kirshner's Rock Concert was syndicated, right? And then Burt Sugarman's Midnight Special, that was NBC. And for a while, ABC had In Concert. The point is, they were all trying to get this revolutionary new segment of society called teenagers and rock and roll fans that TV had ignored. And the Midnight Special was great when they started, but then, as you see in the DVD set, toward the end of the 70s, there started being more lip syncing and started being more videos played. And then it's just the same thing. You know, in the early years, especially, unless the artist just didn't want to do it, apparently, or it couldn't be replicated on stage, the performances were live. And that was even wilder because you never got to see that. So In Concert had its moments where it was better than the Midnight Special, but the Midnight Special, especially early on, I think was better because, let's face it, Wolfman Jack was more fun to watch than Don Kirshner. Well. Don Kirshner was no Dick Clark, but he couldn't keep himself off his programs. Maybe that's why the Monkees didn't like him. But anyway, I put this DVD at, you know, my favorite one, 1973, that golden year. Brian, listen to the live performances from just that year alone that were on the Midnight Special.
What year did the show come on? Because that must have been early on in its run, 73.
I think this is the first year.
Yeah, okay.
Because that 73 was I think that was maybe Don Kirshner's Rock Concert came along in 72, and I think In Concert came along as an answer to the Midnight Special. So 72, 73 was the big change. But these performances, do you know what I consider the best female vocal performance of the 1970s?
From 73?
From 1973.
Gladys Knight? No.
You're completely lost.
Yeah, I don't know who else. What woman singer did you really? I don't even know why I put it that way. What female vocalist?
What woman singer?
Because you hate women. That's why I put it that way.
Them damn women, they're singing again. Linda Ronstadt, Long, Long Time. Live version on the Midnight Special. It's just her out there with the microphone. The band in the background is subdued. It's a slow song. No fancy instrumental tricks or tracks. It's all about Linda Ronstadt and her voice, the plaintiveness of it, the sadness, the emotion. She knocked that one out of the park. I dare you go back and just watch this woman emit her art and tell me that's not the greatest vocal performance of the 70s.
Yeah, you just love that whole scene, the Eagles, Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, come on, but it's talent. It's talent. Love will abide take things in stride. You're not gonna. You're not even gonna say that those amazing lyricisms of the early singer-songwriter years are not art.
I'm not saying, of course they're art. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just, some of them I may not want to listen to.
Some of them may be a fart instead of art.
Have you ever seen the Old Grey Whistle Test out of England? That's my favorite. I have all those DVDs because those are the best film performances and the single best performances because there's no audience usually. It's just the artist in the studio with the camera.
But the audience
whispering Bob Harris.
I agree the live performances on the Old Grey Whistle Test are quality, but you got to have the audience to give some feedback there, even in a studio. Just a little. It's like doing angles in front of an empty building. You know what else was in 1973? Billy Preston. Will It Go Around in Circles? Live performance on the Midnight Special.
Now, 73, trying to think what year the Stones toured, because remember, he was a part of the Stones touring band for a few years. He played on a few of the albums, too. I think 73 might have been one of the years.
And as a matter of fact...
Goat's Head Soup, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact. But he stopped by the Midnight Special because he had a story that ain't got no morals, and he let the bad guy win every once in a while.
Can you imagine?
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, can you imagine being like a young musician playing with other young musicians, and then a few years later, they have the Beatles, and they're like, oh shit, you're in town. Come by the studio, play with us, the Beatles. That's amazing. It's amazing what happened to Billy Preston.
And then he actually played in Get Back in Sgt. Pepper. He was the bugler, remember?
That's the worst movie. Why would you even... Did you see that movie, that whole thing?
Oh, yes. But it was great for Earth, Wind, and Fire. And... And
it was awful for everything else. The Bee Gees.
For everything else, yeah. It killed everybody else's career, but Earth, Wind, and Fire came out sliggered and come on a gold tooth. And that soundtrack, it was a double album. And that soundtrack album got more publicity. Following up Saturday Night Fever, they thought they had another one. Robert Stigwood and the whole 9 yards. They thought, okay, this is the golden goose. And the publicity for that album was incredible. It's the only album in music history that shipped double platinum and returned triple platinum.
Did you ever see the movie that Stigwood produced after that, Times Square?
No.
That is actually a movie I love, even though the finished version is not what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like some teenage lesbian story in Times Square in the 70s. Instead, it ends up being about a politician's daughter who runs away and meets this teenage runaway, and they form a punk band. And this is in Manhattan, and it's all filmed on the streets of Times Square in the late 70s. It looks incredible. And Tim Curry, my favorite Tim Curry role ever. It sounds weird saying that. Johnny LaGuardia, the DJ, who plays that. And he's just so good in this fucking role. And it has the greatest soundtrack. It's a double album. And it has all the punk and, I guess I'll say punk and new wave songs from that era. And the movie just bombed. And the soundtrack's kind of a little bit of a collectible now. But I like the movie. And I think it's a beautiful looking movie. And it's a great capture of Times Square in New York City at that moment. But the soundtrack's awesome.
And you just love the punk music. You love the anti-establishment crowd. Okay,
I do.
Back to the Midnight Special then. If you like the punk music, live 10-minute version, Mark Bolan and T-Rex Bang a Gong. Live.
10 minutes.
It's at least 10 minutes. He does 2 different solos. He goes through the whole he changes instruments, and he's got the 2 rowdiest black female backup singers that were ever allowed to appear on network television, just shaking and quivering everywhere.
That was his only hit in the States, but he had a bunch of hits in England, and he had some great albums and great songs. Do you know any of his material beyond Bang a Gong?
A bit of it because, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but Adrian Street was always very reliable with his stories, and he said that his the exotic Adrian Street influenced Mark Bolan. That's what he always told me. The early glam rock.
Do you like Slade?
Run, Run, Run Away?
Goodbye to Jane?
Where did Jane go?
Well, it's in the song, Goodbye to Jen. They did the original version of Come On, Feel the Noise.
That's right. And then who was Quiet Riot remade that or covered that. But yes, Slade was the original and they even spelled it awkwardly as well, didn't they? Or did they? Or did Quiet Riot start that?
No, Slade started that.
Slade started that.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, Mr. Music, and we'll finish up Midnight Special. Another live version, extended version, on stage. Edgar Winter Group Frankenstein. Why did they name the song Frankenstein that I used for the Heavenly Bodies as a follow-up after we used Giorgio Moroder for the Midnight Express? Why did they call it Frankenstein?
It's a very good question. The Edgar Winter Group, a great group, by the way. One night they all went out partying. And the next morning they woke up and they were foggy-eyed. And in the blur of the haze of the room, someone saw Rick Derringer naked and they thought it was Frankenstein. But only because they were laying down, because he's 5'2".
Okay, that's good off the top of your head, but it's complete bullshit.
It is, but good off the top of my head.
Yeah, but it was good off the top of your head. But that song was pieced together from literally pieces of tape from various things they had done in the studio, which is why that it sounds like it's 2 or 3 different songs put together, but in the masterful way that it's done with a variety of instruments. It was pieced together from remnants of riffs and things they had recorded, and they put it all together and made it flow. And to show how good Edgar Winter was, in the live version on stage, he plays every goddamn instrument. He plays the keyboard, he plays the drums, he plays the whole 9 yards. They keep handing him shit. He goes from one to another and does that whole song live on stage, including the feedback in the middle. And I think, is that at the end? Is that where he sets the goddamn amplifiers on fire? Possibly. But it was over the top for network TV of the time.
73, you got Jim Croce?
Jim Croce?
Right before he died. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm trying to wait a minute. We had 2 Jim Croce. There was 2 clips, and I'm trying to think which one was on the 73.
It was probably Bad Bad Leroy Brown, and Operator was one of his songs that he was playing a lot at that
Bad Bad Leroy Brown was on that, and Operator was a clip. I think did Operator not come out after he was already dead?
As a single, I don't know.
A single.
I'm not sure.
Well, no, I didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't make the song after he was dead. They released the single after he was dead.
Hey, you could do.
It'd be awful hard for him to sing that whole song with him being dead.
He's a talented guy.
Well, I know, but you you can't have expectations too high. And speaking of high expectations,
one more.
Oh, one more.
This may get you some heat with someone. Who knows? Do you like Steely Dan?
Yes, I do. They were very technically proficient. 2 uglier human beings you couldn't find. But they were very technically proficient. And they were reeling in the years on this this highlight also.
And you're right. They are really ugly, and they found the ugliest friends they could to fill the band up with.
Yeah.
And that's a point. They never would have gotten a shot today. But back then you heard them before you ever saw them. Before you ever saw them.
That's true. When you would hear a Steely Dan album, Pretzel Logic or Ricky Don't Lose That Number, you think these are young Frank Sinatras. They got to be some swinging hip cats that are cool and they got all the chicks hanging off and the whole. And then you see them in 2 bigger fucking college nerds you would never see in your life. If they were that age today, I'm sure they'd be AEW fans.
Who was the original drummer for what would become Steely Dan?
Oh, God damn it.
It wasn't called Steely Dan yet, but it was Fagan and what's his name?
Walter Becker.
The dead one,
but that's not the drummer. That's the Becker and Fagan were basically the group. The drummer, I'm lost.
Chevy Chase.
What?
That's true.
I have never heard this before. Did you hear this from Hulk Hogan?
I heard this from Chevy Chase. No, this is, I think, a known thing. It's out there. I'm going to just throw it out there now and let the listeners get back to you with some Chevy Chase and Steely Dan notes.
Well, if anybody does have any light to shed on this, please pop in and let us know if Chevy Chase, or maybe you're getting them confused and Chevy Chase was going to play for Metallica and it was Hulk Hogan that was going to Go with Steely Dan.
Steely Dan had a show in Chevy Chase, Maryland. That's what I'm getting confused with.
That's what it was.